The subliminal message I'm going to show you today is also from the Live Forever in Paradise book. Now, I covered an image before out of this book, and I found another one that's actually the strangest subliminal message of all the ones that I've covered. In fact, I think this is the strangest one out of all the other ones that I've seen, even online. So let's get right to it. I'm going to show you exactly what I can see from the physical book in front of me. That way, no Jehovah's Witness can say that it's an apostate lie or something made up. So if you go to the You Can Live Forever in Paradise book on page 93, so actually, first I want to show you the date in this book because the date is going to be significant later on. So mine says 1982 and 1989. Now, usually when there's a gap, it's just by 1 or 2 years. I don't know why there's a gap that big. Two completely different dates, 1982 and 1989. But we're actually going to give Watchtower the benefit of the doubt and go with the earlier date. See what I mean later on when I say that, but we're going to do them a favor and go with the earlier date of 1982. So you want to go to page 93. And this is the image in question. So what the accusation is that this drawing of this woman was taken directly off of a Wardley magazine, and that's Jehovah's Witness language. So a Wardley magazine that Jehovah's Witnesses would have nothing to do with, it is said that this drawing was taken directly from a photo on a magazine. So that's the first part of the complaint against Watchtower. And the reason this is a problem is because Jehovah's Witnesses believe, and we're told that every person in all their books and magazines, that these are Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing. The term they use is exemplary. So they say that if you want to have your picture or have your face drawn and put in a magazine or a book, you have to be shown to be exemplary, meaning worthy of imitation and good standing. In fact, if you want to be in one of their books, you have to apply for it, and the congregation elders have to sign off, letting headquarters know that you're an exemplary publisher, right? And this is something that everybody knows who's a Jehovah's Witness. And when I was married, me and my wife actually auditioned for one of these things, and we got put on a list to possibly be called to be used in one of their videos. So they go through a lot of trouble making sure that you're an exemplary publisher is what they claim. So to use a Wardley person from a Wardley magazine and put it in their book is misleading to the congregation. But this also is someone who is said to be a celebrity. So not only did they take this photo directly from an actual magazine, it's also a celebrity, someone who clearly is what would be considered by JW standards as Wardley. So that's just the first part of the accusation against Watchtower. The main problem with this photo is that it's said that this woman is also a porn star. You see, that's the big problem with it. Not only is it wrong for them to take a photo from a magazine and pass it off to their members as it's their production, and people thinking this is a Jehovah's Witness and it's really a celebrity, that's the minor part. She's a porn star, or that's what the allegation says, and that's what we're going to investigate. But before I show you online the actual photo that this is said to have been taken from, I want to draw your attention to her chin. You see that water drop that's falling off of her chin. And underneath that water drop, you see a splash of water in a river. So you see the water drop and a splash of water. Now that's going to be very significant later on when we examine the picture it said that they stole this from. So that's what's in question. That's what we're going to research. And for anyone who can get their hands on the old Paradise book, it's page 93. So now let's go online and look at the photo it is said that they stole this from. So here's page 93, and that's the photo in question. Now, some Jehovah's Witnesses who are watching this, you probably are already looking for an excuse, and I understand because that's the way the brainwashing works. So it's hard to accept the fact that Watchtower has been lying to us the whole time. So you might be thinking, well, this probably just looks like some photo off of a magazine, right? But it's probably not the exact photo. It probably just looks like it. So here's the magazine in question that is said that Watchtower taken this photo from. Well, as you can see, it doesn't just look like the same photo. It is the same photo. Now let's take a look at these side by side to get a better look at it. It's the same photo. And usually I break things down in depth, but this is so obvious that I'm not going to even really spend much time on this at all because you can't justify this. There's no excuse. You can't say it looks the same. You can't say the apostates are making it up. This is the same photo. And unlike the other subliminal messages that I covered, this subliminal message, it's beyond a regular subliminal message because this one, not only are they sending some subliminal message and hidden meaning, obviously, but this is done in a way where no Jehovah's Witnesses can say that this is not taken from this magazine, right? It's not like some can say, well, you're just making it up, you're seeing things. This is the exact same photo. And just to make it clear how undisputed this evidence is, remember what I said about the drop of water on her chin? You can see that exact drop of water on the chin from the magazine. So Watchtower made it a point to even put the drop of water on her chin. And if that's not enough, even below her chin, you can see the splash of water. Right. And that's all I'm going to like. You can look at this whole photo, the way her hair is done, her eyes are like, all I'm going to focus on is a drop of water and a splash of water because that is 100% undisputed. Doesn't matter how brainwashed a Jehovah's Witness is, no one can dispute this. This is the exact photo. Watchtower drew this image of this celebrity directly into their Paradise book, passing it off as their own, making their members think that this is just some baptized Jehovah's Witness who's exemplary, worthy of imitation, right? That's what Jehovah's Witnesses think when they see people in their magazines. So clearly this is wrong. But the mystery is, why did they actually do this, right? So when I looked up Stern Magazine, when I was doing research on this, I want to clarify that Stern Magazine itself is not a pornographic magazine. I mentioned earlier that there's also the accusation. The second accusation is that this is also somebody who's a porn star. So Stern is not a pornographic magazine, but when I was looking into it, I found a very unusual coincidence. Very unusual. That Stern Magazine is based in Hamburg, Germany. Now, does that sound familiar to ex-JWs or even current JWs? Hamburg, Germany. Now, I live in the United States. I've never heard of Hamburg, Germany in my life. Never. Now, I'm sure people in Germany obviously heard of it, but in the United States, I've never heard of Hamburg, Germany. I have not heard of Hamburg, Germany until last year when we were told there was a mass shooting at a Kingdom Hall in Hamburg, Germany. And I'm sorry, that's a little too close for comfort. This is a town that I've never heard of in my entire life, Hamburg, Germany, except for this mass shooting at a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. Now, I'm not going to get into like conspiracy stuff on this channel, but people who've looked into this particular shooting, let's just say that there's a lot of weird things surrounding this where we could be being lied to as far as what really happened. That's all I'm going to say. But there's a lot of weird things around this. And I just want all my subscribers to really just use your intuition and look at this picture, because under this picture it says, and this is a quote from the guy in this picture, it says, "We pray together, we cry together," says community representative Michael. So this is most likely the coordinator of the body of elders, right? They're not going to have just some publisher as the representative to, to deal with this. So this is probably most likely an elder and probably the body of elders, the coordinator of the body of elders. But using your intuition, when you look at this guy's face, does this look like the face of an elder who just had his kingdom hall shot up by a so-called apostate? Or does this look like maybe somebody in a secret society that's maybe planted there posing as an elder? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that my intuition tells me when I look at this guy's face, something just is not right. There's a lot of weird things about this shooting. But the main reason I want to reference this is that I've never in my life heard of Hamburg, Germany until this shooting last year. And now I come across Hamburg, Germany again with this really weird subliminal message. This is the weirdest thing that I've ever looked into that Watchtower has done. This is just flat out weird, right? The other subliminal messages, like you can kind of clearly see like what the message is and why it's there. But they take in this photo directly off of a magazine. Like they're not even trying to like be sneaky about it, right? I mean, by putting the water drop on her chin, it's like, this is a subliminal message that they want to make it clear. They want you to find out that this person is some sort of a celebrity and look into it. This is just really strange that they would take a photo from a Hamburg, Germany magazine. And I don't know, just I've never heard of Hamburg, Germany until that mass shooting, but that's probably a topic for another video. So then the question now really is, why did Watchtower do this? What's the subliminal message? Why would they do something like this? So the first question is, who is this woman? Well, her name is Pascale Petit. And when you look up Pascale Petit, there is more than one person with that name. So I just want to say is caution. There's more than one person with this name, Pascale Petit. But when you look her up, she's a French actress. So this is somebody who's a known celebrity. So the main question is, why would they put this known celebrity in the Paradise Book? It doesn't make any sense. And you have thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses that want to be in their books and magazines, right? Like they have so many people to choose from that want to. So that's definitely an interesting question, is why would they do this? What's the point? What connection does this woman have with the Watchtower organization? It doesn't make any sense. Now, some Jehovah's Witnesses who watch this far into it, you're probably thinking, okay, we're just looking for a fault, right? Like, what's the big deal? Okay, well, it is a big deal, because you know as a Jehovah's Witness that they pass off all their artwork as being done by their artists, and all the people that they make portraits of are Jehovah's Witnesses. So that is kind of a big deal. But here's the main problem with them using this particular actress. The main problem with them doing this is the fact that she's also a porn star. right? So this is somebody who's an actress, but also does porn. That's the problem with Watchtower doing this. Why would Watchtower put an actress that's a known actress and also a porn star and put it in their Live Forever Paradise book, passing it off as their own artwork and making all Jehovah's Witnesses believe that this picture is a picture of a Jehovah's Witness who's exemplary, who got approved by her local body of elders to be in the Paradise book? If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you know that that's the way that it works, right? That's what Jehovah's Witnesses think. So not only did they take this photo, she's a porn star. They claim that Jehovah hates pornography and hates anything to do with pornography. And it's interesting because as I was putting this information together on this video, just by chance, I went to jw.org because I was looking up something else. And literally just by chance, I seen this video recently posted on jw.org. Is viewing pornography really a sin? So I thought that's convenient. That's convenient for me that right as I'm putting together this information, who better than jw.org to put out informational or good informational. I'm getting confused just thinking about it, huh? But who better than Watchtower to put out this good information on pornography, right? Who better than Watchtower to now give us a lesson in pornography? So let's see what the Watchtower organization itself wants to teach us about, is viewing pornography really a sin? And if you go to the website now, this video may still be there as a future video.
Once relegated to adult theatres, bookstores or newsstands, today pornography is everywhere. Only a click or tap away. It is not new. Erotic art existed in ancient cultures. For some, it was even a part of their worship.
I just want to stop for a second. What's with the weird music they're playing in the cartoon background? I'm sure there's something subliminal in that too.
Today, even some religious people feel that pornography is harmless and therefore acceptable. On the other hand, some who read the Bible feel that pornography and erotic literature are harmful, even a sin against God. What is God's view of pornography? Though the word pornography doesn't appear in the Bible's principles make very clear how God feels about sexual matters. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 and 10 leaves no doubt about God's view of sexual immorality, sexual acts outside of marriage. Those who are sexually immoral will not inherit God's kingdom.
I just want to say that they tell her that when they put her in a Watchtower that, by the way, you're not going to inherit God's kingdom.
Jesus told us that fueling immoral desires is also sinful. He said, "Everyone who keeps on looking at a woman so as to have a passion for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart."
But I have to stop there. What does Watchtower think when they're putting porn stars subliminally in their literature? Right? Aren't they kind of making it difficult for men to not look at women with a passion?
At Colossians 3:5, we are told to deaden our body members as respects sexual immorality, uncleanness, uncontrolled sexual passion. Pornography arouses immoral, unclean sexual desires. The very opposite of what we are told to do, deaden or suppress them. The Bible warns what uncontrolled desire can lead to. James 1:14 and 15 says we are drawn out and enticed by our own desire. Then the desire, when it has become fertile, gives birth to sin. In turn, sin, when it has been carried out, brings forth death. If God condemns immoral acts, clearly he would disapprove of us watching people engage in such acts. Pornography, whether we watch it, read it, or listen to it, must be highly offensive to God.
So you heard it right out of the horse's mouth. It must be highly offensive to God.
God wants husbands and wives to enjoy love and intimacy in their marriage, but he hates all forms of sexual uncleanness, including pornography.
So he hates all forms of sexual uncleanness, including pornography. So God hates pornography, right? And it's highly offensive to him. So why is Watchtower subliminally putting porn stars and their magazines behind their members' backs? I mean, is there any logical explanation? Now, because I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, I already know the way Jehovah's Witnesses reason when they're faced with truth, but the brainwashing is so strong that they will not accept any responsibility that this organization has done anything deliberately. So the only thing that Jehovah's Witnesses would try to say at this point is that she must have done porn after that they used this photo, right? They can't justify, they can't even begin to explain why they put the photo there in the first place, but that's what they'll probably say. Well, she must have done porn after. So just to address this thing with the dates, this right here looks like it's maybe a museum or something. It looks like this is maybe like the first issue of Stern or the original issue with Pascale Petit on it. I can't read French, so if anybody in the comments can read what this says, please let me know. But you can see at the top of the magazine in this photo, you can actually see the date. And the date is August 1961. So this photo that the Watchtower used was in 1961. So just to be clear, the photo already existed in 1961. So when did she start doing porn? Well, I don't know when she started doing porn, but this particular Playboy magazine has a date of November 1963. So we at least know that she was already doing porn in 1963, probably before that, right? But without trying to look through every pornographic magazine she's been in, this date is early enough for me, right? We know at least she was doing pornography in 1963. So this is a problem for the Watchtower and those that try to defend the Watchtower, because the Paradise book has a date of 1982. Now, remember what I said in the beginning of the video that we'll give Watchtower the benefit of the doubt and use the earlier date, right? We'll use the earlier date. And still, even with using that earlier date, she's been doing porn basically 20 years before the Watchtower decided to steal this photo from the Stern magazine, which is 1961, right? Technically, we can say 19 years prior with the Playboy magazine, but most likely she was doing porn before the Playboy magazine, right? So at least for 20 years, she was a known porn star. So there's no excuse for this. When the Watchtower decided in 1982 that they were going to take this celebrity off of this magazine, wouldn't they have researched who they're using, right? Wouldn't they know and done research on, okay, what type of celebrity is this that we're putting in Jehovah's literature, spiritual food from Jehovah? Well, obviously, the Watchtower did do research, and that's why they put it. You see, this is deliberate. They obviously would have known who they're putting in our magazine. This is very deliberate. They obviously known that she was a porn star. So this is undisputed, absolutely undisputed. And like I said before about the other subliminal messages where people can try to say, oh, the artist just, it looks that way. It's a bad drug. There's no excuse for this. No excuse. It's a specific picture of a celebrity, and the celebrity was doing porn for 20 years before Watchtower decided they wanted to put her in her book. So the question is, why? Why did they do this? So I think I figured out the reason why. And there's a two folds to what I'm going to explain. So on the right side, this is a video that I did titled Watchtower Secretly Using Spiritistic Music. And in this video, I broke down how in 2016, the Watchtower organization used a song and they put it over their resurrection video during the 2016 convention. Now, just like what we discussed with the Paradise book, Watchtower members, Jehovah's Witnesses, believe that all of their music is in-house production. So when they donate to the organization, they think it's all going towards in-house production. So when I was at the 2016 convention and they played this resurrection video, I'm thinking the music is from Watchtower's own musicians. So not only did they mislead the congregation, while the congregation thinks all their music is produced by them and it's so-called worldly, it's also a two-step problem like the Paradise book, because not only did they use someone else's music while passing it off as their own, they use so-called New Age music, which they say is demonic. Now, I don't think that New Age music is demonic, but they think that New Age music is demonic. And the song that they use is called Eternal Flame. Eternal Flame means hellfire. So why would they put a song that means hellfire over a resurrection video? Right? And then if you look at other albums that this artist has done, like at the bottom, you see there's a track called 11 Days in Hell. So it's like Watchtower subliminally sending these messages out that they're hypocrites. They're not who they really say they are. Why they pretend that New Age is demonic and all that is spiritistic, they're secretly using worldly music while the Jehovah's Witnesses think it's their own production. And not only are they using worldly music, they're using music that's considered demonic by their standards. So on the left, what we just discussed in the Paradise book, it's essentially the same thing. So the Jehovah's Witnesses think, just like the 2016 convention, that all the people in their books and magazines are in-house production. The artists are in-house, and that the people that they draw portraits of are Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing. In fact, they have to be exemplary. That's what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe, that all the people in their books and magazines are Jehovah's Witnesses. So not only did they take a photo directly from a magazine, which is not their own art, and someone who is not a Jehovah's Witness, that's just the first part of it, while passing it off as their own creation, they're using a porn star. And you just watched the video themselves and you heard it right out of the horse's mouth how Jehovah feels about pornography. So you see, this is the same thing that they've been doing. And look at the age gap between the Paradise book and the 2016 convention. This is a 34-year-old gap of them doing the same crap. And some Jehovah's Witnesses will use the rogue artist theory. When you show them undisputed evidence on the subliminal messages, they'll say it was a rogue artist. The artist acted alone, right? Somehow no blame ever gets put on an organization. They go right from some rogue artist, right? Or some apostate at Bethel. How did apostate even get into the art department in Bethel? But that's how desperate they are to try to justify this. It was a rogue artist. Whereas you see with the 2016 convention, it's a whole separate type of thing. It's not with a an artist of drawing. It's a musician artist that they're playing these games with. It's the same type of thing. Here it is in 2016. The witnesses think all their music is in-house production, but they're using so-called demonic music. And in the Paradise book, they think all the people being portrayed in the books are drawings of Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're using porn stars, right? So this is a problem with this organization. There is no rogue artist. There's no one person that's doing all this stuff. This is a problem with this organization. They have a history of basically telling you one thing while subliminally sending you the exact opposite message. So this is basically the same thing with the 2016 convention, same idea. But now the question is, what is the hidden meaning? What's the hidden meaning? Now, for those that want to get into the hidden meaning of the 2016 convention, you might want to watch my video titled Watchtower Secretly Using Spiritistic Music Part 1 and Part 2, and I break down what the hidden meaning is behind that whole thing. But what's the hidden meaning here? Why do they put this porn star in the Paradise book? Well, another video I did recently was called Hidden Image. What was the name of that video? Hidden Image Reveals the Spirit Behind Watchtower. Now, I'm bringing this up because it's essentially the same thing, and it gives XJW's clues into other subliminal messages that they put out there. But on the right in the Revelation book, on page 52, if you read what the paragraph is talking about, or there's several paragraphs, they're talking about Satan, right? Satan and the fallen angels and Satan and all this stuff, right? But as they're talking about Satan, the subliminal image with the guy with the monster hand is letting you know that this picture that they think is Jesus and his co-rulers, it's really Satan and the fallen angels, which is why they have the monster hand there. So as the paragraph is talking about Satan, they're sending you a message saying that that's really who they serve. They're serving Satan and the fallen angels, right? That's the hidden meaning behind it. Now, if you look to the left, this is what I believe the hidden message is with putting this porn star in the Paradise book. You see, if you read page 93, it's talking about how the fallen angels came down and made it with beautiful women. And it even likens the disgusting acts that the angels did were likened to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So they're talking about how the fallen angels, they came and they're mating with, women, and they were doing disgusting sexual things, and, and they liken it to Sodom and Gomorrah. So while they're talking about these angels doing sexual things and all this stuff, they're putting a porn star in the picture, right? A porn star that Jehovah's Witnesses believe this is a Jehovah's Witness just posing for the picture, right? They put a porn star in here while they're trying to demonize the fallen angels, and they were involved in all these sexual acts and they were doing all these things wrong. Meanwhile, Watchtower is using porn stars. They're using porn stars where they're trying to tell you how bad the fallen angels were that were involved in, you could say, pornography. Right? You see, the exact same thing that the paragraph is talking about is who Watchtower really is. That's what they're showing you. That's the subliminal message behind this. And there's two subliminal messages that they're sending with this photo. The first subliminal message is that clearly it's to think about sex. Right? Now, if you've seen my very last video, I showed how they put the word sex, even using sign language, subliminally on the songbook. So sex is a theme that Watchtower wants to put out there. So obviously, by putting someone who's an actual porn star on the Paradise book, that's sending a subliminal message for sex. Now, of course, back, like those of us now in this time, I mean, we wouldn't even know who this person is, Pascale Petit. But back in 1982, this porn star actress, Jehovah's Witnesses back then, they might have subliminally connected to that back when maybe this woman was more active. So they're sending a subliminal message to think about sex while they're trying to teach in a paragraph, oh, this is disgusting, and liking them to Sodom and Gomorrah and all this stuff. So that's a subliminal message for sex right there. That's undisputed. You can't look at this any other way than they're subliminally putting sex in the minds of the people reading this book. But the second subliminal message that's there, because it's twofold, is the fact that unlike other subliminal messages, by taking this photo directly off of the magazine and even making sure that they put the same water drop on her chin and a splash of water below her chin, this is one of those situations where they're putting these clues out there on purpose, right? So it's a step further than just they want to send a subliminal message to your brain without you realizing it. This is one of those situations where people who are like devil worshippers and into black magic, they have this thing where they feel that they have to give you clues of who they really are. And the way that they understand karma, and I'm not saying this is true, but this is what they believe. People who worship Satan, the way they believe it is that they have to give you clues of who they really are. And if they put clues out there and you ignore those clues, you're given consent, is what they believe. Right? So this is one of those situations where, because they could have just taken Pascale Petit and they could have just put her in the Paradise book, but in another drawing, like in another pose. They didn't have to take her face directly off of a known magazine and even putting the water drop on her chin. Like they could have just put her in the book and then said, oh, it just looks like her. That's not her, it just looks like her. But they went out of their way to make sure they put a specific clue so that somebody can verify. So somebody's going to be like, who is that woman they took directly off of that magazine? So then Stern itself is not a pornography magazine, but once you look to who this person is on the cover of the magazine, then you go down the rabbit hole finding out she's a porn star, right? So this was put there as a clue. They particularly took the photo directly off of their magazine, not only sending us subliminal messages for sex using a porn star, but also in the way that they understand karma, that they feel they have to give you these clues to who they really are, right? So witnesses that ignore this are given consent, right? They just ignore, but they're telling you the exact thing that you're talking about in that paragraph about the fallen angels and they were doing all this sexual stuff, right? They're basically telling you that that's really what they're all about. They're all about all this sexual stuff and the fallen angels and Satan. That's who they're serving. And that's the hidden message there. And one more thing I want to address, I didn't want to spend too much time about this, but witnesses, when you show them stuff that's undisputed like this, they go into the whole rogue artist theory, right? So when they get to the point where they can't deny it, like this cannot be denied, right? You can see it's from the magazine. It cannot be denied. She was doing porn for 20 years before Watchtower used a photo. It cannot be denied. So when you get witnesses in a corner like this, because the brainwashing will not accept the fact that the organization is corrupt, they will come up with the rogue artist theory that some rogue artist acting alone, or an apostate at Bethel, which how does apostate even get into the art department? But they'll believe these crazy stories that it's just some rogue artist that did it by himself. Well, I mentioned in one of my other videos how the Watchtower's first magazine and logo came from the tarot card tarot deck. And the last three videos I did was covering the subliminal messages on the songbook, which was 2009, 2010. So what this rogue artist, I mean, is he a time traveler? Right? When he was putting subliminal messages in a songbook, was he also back in the 1800s with Charles Taze Russell putting the tarot card symbols on the Watchtower? Or is he 130 years old, right? And if you're Jehovah's Witness and you say, oh no, obviously it's not the same rogue artist, well, how many rogue artists do you think have to be in this organization to conclude that Watchtower is in on it? Right? With this rogue artist theory, they've been doing this since the 1800s, since the very first issue of the Watchtower had all types of subliminal messages right on the front cover. So how many rogue artists do you think are in this organization that the organization cannot fix the problem? And the second thing that doesn't make sense about this rogue artist theory is that Bethel has a department that has to approve all these images and check everything before it's published, right? This is their job. And they've showed this on their website. Every drawing has to be approved. So if this is God's organization, why is it that these people whose job it is to approve these images to make sure there's nothing questionable in it, why are all these images not being caught by their department, but so-called apostates are the ones that are catching it? Does that make any sense? Right? If this is Jehovah's organization, and if they had problems with these subliminal images going back to the 1800s, wouldn't their art department or wouldn't their approval department be specifically on the lookout for this and say, hey, we've been having these images, these rogue artists from the 1800s, right? Wouldn't they be catching these photos? So then when someone like me exposes this stuff, I'm told Satan's got me, right? On my last video, somebody said that what I said was a demonic lie. They didn't just say I was lying. They said it's a demonic lie. So witnesses will say that I'm telling demonic lies and Satan has me. Yet Jehovah has all these rogue artists and an organization that's drawing all these images, and Jehovah blinds their mind. So no one who's has a job of approving these images, they never see these images, right? Jehovah blinds their mind. But then Satan enlightens the apostates. So Satan, I mean, what type of devil are we talking about? Right? I mean, I thought Satan was a bad guy. Is Satan the one that's gone rogue? Did Satan go rogue against his own purpose, where now Satan's had enough and Satan says, hey, it's about time this stuff gets exposed? You see, it's all backwards. Jehovah's Witnesses think that Satan is the one that's moving apostates to expose this stuff, while Jehovah's the one putting this stuff out through his organization. It doesn't make any sense. The rogue artist theory shows how brainwashed Jehovah's Witnesses are. It's so reverse. It's only common sense that it would be the spirit of God that's revealing this stuff and the spirit of Satan that's pumping this stuff out. And Jehovah's Witnesses have been pumping these subliminal messages out since the 1800s.